Hello, hi there. I'm Brad Kemp with Seriously Painting, and what I'm going to do is quickly walk you through rebuilding the sprayer here that I'm playing with, and give you a little bit of an explanation as to why and how. Okay, so this is a Graco 490. It's a small sprayer, and the reason I'm rebuilding it is because it was taking too long to build up pressure in the line to spray from priming, and had troubles getting it pumping at all. So it's not my sprayer. What I find with these sprayers is as the seals and the bearings wear out in the pump, there's two ball bearings, you'll hear a sound. It's a clacking sound, and when you prime them, it'll take longer to get the paint up and through the siphon tube and going through the machine, and sometimes, you know, it'll eventually kick over and sometimes it won't. If you're starting to have problems, what you can do is just take a hammer and tap the pump itself, and that might get it pumping the paint. If not, it's time to rebuild, really. Also, when you're spraying, when you let go of the trigger, if it takes too long for the pump to pressurize again, that's another good sign that it's time to rebuild. The parts aren't very expensive, and getting through the process isn't really all that hard. So let's get going here, and I'll show you sort of what I do and how I do it. Okay, first step, the pump itself, we're going to take apart into about 4 different pieces, and then we'll break down those pieces as we go. Okay, the first piece that we get off after we've removed the pump from the machine is that brass ring. The brass ring at the top is threaded in, normal thread, and you just take it off with a screwdriver and a hammer. You can actually loosen it while it's still in the machine, or wait until it's out, and either a slot screwdriver or a square Robertson type of thing. And just knock it loose a bit, and then you'll be able to unwind it. It's got a seal on the top and an O-ring on the bottom. Okay, after I've got that off, I'm going to push the piston out of the housing for it, and it will take some work to get it out, as you do have to push fairly hard. And there it pops out. Now, as I take everything apart, there's some more O-rings in that inside there, and you'll see a ball bearing as well. So as I take everything apart, I clean everything. Wash it with water or thinner if you like. If it's really nasty and it's got a lot of buildup, it shouldn't have, but you can also use lacquer thinner and soak the stuff. Okay, on this piece here, there's another piece that you separate, and what you need is 2 crescent wrenches, or that's what I use. At the top of this, there's a flat spot where you can attach 1 wrench, and then I'm just wiping it down right now. At the bottom, you put another wrench and unscrew it. Then from there, you'll be able to take the seals out, and what I do is when I take the parts out of the sprayer, I make sure that I keep the parts really, really organized, and I make sure I've got them facing up the right direction as they would go back in the machine. Okay, so there's the clear pieces, the black and the metal piece, and then brass right at the bottom. Okay, and what I've got to do is unscrew that. So again, 2 wrenches is all I really use. And it will take a bit of work. Okay, now that it's loosened off, what I want to do is slowly take it apart, unscrew the bottom piece, make sure I don't drop anything, and that's me unscrewing it. I take it apart, and then I take these rings off. Here's the ball bearing. And then all the pieces. Again, I'm not flipping them over and I'm not spreading them anywhere. I'm just going to set them in a pile and then clean the rod itself. And then I'll get ready to put the new ones on and reassemble this piece. Okay, now that I've got the pieces laid out, I'm going to go for this kit, and this kit's divided up into compartments. Take the backing off the kit and keep everything together in the correct compartments that they're in, because it's specifically designed that way. There's instructions on the back, which you can read, so carefully remove it. Now what you want to do is find the set or the compartment with the pieces you need to replace the stuff you've just removed. So with the plastic facing down, these pieces are on the top left, not the center one, but the one to the far left. Okay, so now what I do is lay out the pieces that I took off, the old ones. Lay them out in a nice neat order. Find the matching ones, lay them out exactly side by side so you know how many pieces go on and which way they're facing and in what order. And then I lubricate them a little bit. The best to use is just throat seal liquid that you get when you get the machine, and lubricate them up and put them back on the piston there, and then put the nut back on, and that'll be that section finished. Okay, now with the seals on, you want to take the brass piece that was there, and don't forget the ball bearing, screw it back in, hand tight it first, and then grab your wrenches and crank it good and tight. And away you go. So there's first piece done. And then I take the old parts and set them aside so I don't get them mixed up with anything else. I move on to the next piece here, the outside housing. There's a set of rings in there as well. And then I just take the actual piston, put it in at a bit of an angle, and then just push. You shouldn't need to hammer. I don't want to hammer anything where I can dent or damage it. And there's a second set of rings, and make sure I've got everything out. And again, take the rag and clean out all the insides. Okay, so we're going to be doing the second set just the same way as the first one. And once all the pieces are out, find the pieces that are in the package, the new ones, and again lubricate them and put them back exactly the same way. Okay, with this suction done, I've got the O-rings back in. I take the piston and push it back into where it goes. It is lubed up a bit, so it won't be too hard to push in. Here I'm just using the table and pushing down. It's not easy by any means, but it will pop in there. Okay, now I'm going to take the brass piece at the top and take the rubber O-ring off the bottom and the seal off the top of it. Clean this and find the new ones. These are in the top of the package, top center. And once I've got them off, I will put them back together, the two black ones, and then screw them back onto the top of the housing and tighten it up. From there, you can use a screwdriver if you want and tighten it now, or you can tighten it after it's back in the machine. Either way works. Okay, so that puts your housing back together with your brass ring on top. Okay, and again, get rid of all the old parts. Okay, now we move on to the bottom part where there's another bearing inside, and I just want to undo this and get the pieces out of it, and again replace them with exactly what was there from the kit, making sure you again double check the direction, that everything goes in the order, and you know whether it's facing up and down, that sort of stuff. So it's really not too difficult of a job. Again, just wrench and hammer is all you need. Okay, now that you've replaced the pieces in the bottom, it's time to start assembling the different pieces. So again, all we need is a crescent wrench to get stuff tight enough. The siphon tube can go together, and then this piece here, with the machine I had, it's a fairly new machine, so there's the hose coming through the back of the machine is easy to put back on, just hand tight, and you just line it up, slide it in, and then the ring to tighten it to the machine, I get it hand tight first, and then use a hammer and tap it so it's nice and tight, and put it all together and test it out, really. What you can do, and I'm doing here, is just pushing the piston so it actually lines up properly, because you won't be able to move it any other way. And then just slide. This one here you just slide in. The older machines actually have a pin that goes through the piston and sort of a round spring that holds it in place. That was a lot more difficult to get back in. Here it just slides in. So here I'm just fitting it, and then I'm going to turn it around and have the outlet go into the back of the machine. Okay, once I've got everything where it should be, fitted nicely, just grab the hammer again, and again this is the outlet, so hand tight, put the piston in, or the whole housing, tighten up the ring, and then hammer it so it's good and snug. I'm going to grab the bottom piece, put that in place. And again, use a hammer to tighten that up once it's lined up. So the whole process itself isn't really very hard. Knowing when to rebuild is a good start, and knowing that you don't have to go buy a new machine is also very beneficial. I tend to rebuild my sprayer once a year, maybe once every 2 years, depends how much I'm using it. And they will last a long time. I've got a Graco 495 that's probably 12 years old, and aside from repacking it, I haven't had any problem at all. Keep the machine clean, and that's really all you need. They're really a good investment. I always make sure if I buy a machine for myself, it'll be the either 495 or like a 695. I avoid the 490 and that sort of stuff. Spend the money, get the better of the machines. I stay with the small ones because they're easy to move around, and they're good for small jobs. Yeah. Anyways, that's about it. So with the machine back together, I'll let you hear it running, and hopefully this helps you in getting your machine up and running if you're having troubles with it. Anyways, thanks very much. Once again, I'm Brad Camp with Seriously Painting. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I do know a fair bit about these machines, and I've also got knowledge about HVLPs, Graco. Anyways, thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed watching this, and have fun painting.